It's like there's so many people that would do it if they knew how to just get started. And it goes the same way for our company, Wealthy Investors. The same thing with Wealthy Creator. Like a lot of the issues that people come in with is just like, what do I do first?
Self-storage is just one business model that we specialize in amongst others, but you need to understand your market research, your demographic, even from a content creator standpoint, right? Who's your target audience, right? Who are you speaking to?
I told my creator group that I coached yesterday, I told them that success is just habits on repeat.
I've noticed that so many people, they don't want to show that they starting from zero.
Yeah.
They want to already out the gate, 100,000, 200, like nobody want to show the beginning of the journey anymore, and that's really a problem. We are who we are, right? So when we buy facilities, we create multiple streams of income off of one acquisition. Okay. So we call it becoming more effective in less time, right? How do we make the most out of one move? So when we buy a facility, we make money by.
Welcome back to another episode of the Wealthy Creator Podcast. I am your host, Justin Berry, and today I got a special guest for you all. I think you all are in for a treat for what you're about to see and hear. This dude is doing something not a lot that you hear about from people, and I think it's really creative. I think it's really interesting. They call him the self-storage king. Let me introduce to you all Romelo Newerls. What's going on, bro?
What's good, bro?
How you feeling?
I'm blessed, bro.
My dog.
I'm glad to be here with you.
Yes, sir, man. I'm excited you got to come out.
Yes.
I saw you on some other content of yours. So obviously this is the Wealthy Creator Podcast, and we're going to jump into the content creation process and your ideas behind marketing. But first, just start with telling people how you fell into self-storage space anyway.
Yes, sir. So I've been in real estate for 10 plus years. I started out in 2014, but on a residential side. So buying duplexes, buying fourplexes. My very first deal was a 2-family Brownstone in Brooklyn. I made $157,000 on that deal. And like anybody, 25 years old, you making 6 figures in real estate, I started buying a bunch of properties, so I scaled really fast. Yeah. So by the time, the pandemic in 2020, I had 40 plus properties, residential. But what I didn't account for, I didn't know was a blind spot because I bought properties that was in low income areas, so like Detroit, Pennsylvania, Milwaukee, right? And it's low income. But then the pandemic happened and some people wasn't paying their rent because they lost their jobs. Like I'm buying in low income areas. And as a landlord, you couldn't evict anyone for monetary reasons during that time. So I'm stuck with the mortgage, the taxes, maintenance, all of that stuff, and I'm not getting the cash flow. And at that time, I'm like, I need to figure out a new way. So I started selling off a lot of my properties to liquidators to keep me going, right? Okay. I'm like sink or swim. But I always say whenever there's an obstacle, there's always an opportunity. That's how God works. That's good. And the obstacle was I got to figure out a way to work through this process in real estate. And I was selling off one particular property, and the buyer wanted it vacant, and I had a tenant in that wasn't paying me. I offered him cash for keys. So I'm like, yo, here go $2,000. I just need you to get out of this property. He accepted, but he wanted me to put his items in a storage unit for 90 days. Okay. So we went to every single facility in my area. Everything was sold out. Scratching my head like, yo, I need to be on this side of the business, right? So at that point, that was the light bulb moment. I invested $50,000. I joined a mastermind, went to this conference, learned these strategies, bought my first facility, an 88-unit facility, and then doubled down. Now we got over 500 units.
Bro, first thing you said was that you were, 25 when you did this?
25, yeah.
Bro, you look 20 now. Like I could tell life is good. Yeah. Life is stress-free right now because you look, how old are you now? Let me just ask you.
I'm 31.
That. So you're 31 now, so that was 6 years or so ago. Dude, like that's such a compelling story to me because I can relate totally to that. And as we talked about before camera, like I fell into videography and the media space because I was planning a wedding and I realized how much it cost for me to get a videographer and a photographer to come. And it told me like, man, there's some opportunity here to make some money. At the time, it was just a side hustle. I was in school, I was playing ball. I had 2 courses to choose from, and it was like pottery or photography. And I'm like, all right, let's just go with the camera work. But then I started getting opportunities to do work for people. And it's like you said, like you realized, man, if everybody's needing this, and these individuals that are on this, they must be money in it because there's some everywhere now. I'm like, it makes sense to kind of jump all into it. Absolutely. So when you make that transition, I heard you mention like a mastermind and finding, like, I'm assuming a mentor that can teach you the game. How'd you go about that research and how'd you go about finding that out?
Man, the internet is a powerful tool. We don't take advantage of it as we should. So I started Googling, YouTubing, self-storage. I'm on YouTube. I'm watching hours of content when it comes to self-storage.
Yeah.
And then it takes you down this path, right? Next to you type in storage, and then there's an ad that pop up, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
that's what happened. It was an ad that popped up. It was a webinar. I joined the webinar. And then from that webinar, there was a 2-day mastermind. I flew out to the 2-day mastermind. From the 2-day mastermind, then there was this big, year mentorship.
Yep.
And that's when I'm in there. Say less.
That's
So
awesome.
it started for me just being on YouTube.
Yeah. And so what are you seeing from, how long you been doing it now?
Self-storage, 4 years.
4
Real estate
years.
overall, 10 years. So
4
it's
years.
transferable.
Yeah, and I'm trying to like imagine, like, obviously in real estate the market can shift and change and things, like you said, even with the the COVID thing, it can go bad quick. Yeah. What is the risk in self-storage?
Man, when people ask me that question, I try to find something to say, but it's no risk. That's the crazy part, right?
Yeah.
When people buy items, they need a place to put them. When we think about apartment buildings, they're making them smaller and smaller, but we still have items.
Yeah.
So whether you're buying and the economy is up, people are going to use it. When the economy is going down, so you think about the pandemic, people started moving to different places that was cheaper. They started rooming with family and friends because they can't afford it. But when you downsize, you still want to keep close to your most prized possessions. You still rent out a storage unit, right? Yeah. So it's really a recession-proof business model. There's not a lot of risk involved when it comes to it. That's why I love it, because it's safe, right?
Right.
But if I could kind of pull something out of it, you're dealing with people at the end of the day, right? Every business, you're dealing with people, and sometimes people don't pay their rent. Right, so now you got to go chase them and get that rent. There's times where people leave things that shouldn't be in the storage unit. Right, somebody stashes something that shouldn't be stashed in the storage unit.
Yeah.
And but that's what comes with the business model. But it's a lot more pros than cons.
Yeah. So your risk isn't necessary in the business. It's more of the individuals that is participating in it. That's the liability in that sense. That's interesting. What's some of the crazy things that you've seen or heard about in storage spaces that you could tell, I guess, without telling too much?
So I've heard a lot of stories. I haven't experienced a lot of horror stories so far. Okay. One of the biggest things is people leave food, right? People leave belongings in there, and it spoil you, and rats and mice and rodents, a lot of different things creep in. Then now it goes from one unit to the next unit. So just making sure you have certain precautions in place. I've had people who passed away and then left items in their unit, and then you have family members fighting over who gonna get the unit, right? Mm-hmm. That's a whole other process, right?
I can see that being a thing for sure.
But yeah, those are some things that I've seen.
Okay. Let's walk it back a little bit. Yeah. Tell me about getting your first facility or unit.
So my very first unit, it was an 88-unit facility, and I used SBA. So a lot of people think when you buy self-storage, you need a bunch of money. Mm-hmm. And that's why I love being on platforms like this, and I want to thank you for allowing me to be here, because it's not rocket science.
Absolutely.
Right? It's not easy, but it's simple.
Yeah.
So it's a program called the SBA 7A loan, where you could buy any business. All you have to do is come to the table with 10% down, and obviously the business must be profitable. So it was an 88-unit facility, $650,000 down payment, $65,000 plus closing costs, came to the table at around $75,000.
Okay.
But that $75,000 I used from business credit card, 0% interest. So I'm really no money down into the facility. But that same facility is now worth over $1 million. So by me coming to the table with no money out of my own pocket, right, leveraging credit cards, I was able to add $1 million plus in equity, $1 million plus in net worth to my portfolio.
Yeah. And that credit line was probably built through the prior real estate that you've done, huh?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
No, I think that's fascinating, because I think that's where people miss. A lot of people don't start something because they just don't know how to get started. Yeah. Right, and I think that's where educators and individuals like yourself that can tell the story, especially to the masses. There's so many people that would do it if they knew how to just get started. And it goes the same way for our company, Wealthy Investors. The same thing with Wealthy Creator. A lot of the issues that people come in with is just what do I do first? Yeah. Right, and so the goal is with these type of companies and these education programs is just to get people started and get them the help they need. So you get your first one, right? What's the first lesson you learned right away? Maybe there wasn't something happened before you had it in place to prevent it.
It's a process. It's a process. Nothing's gonna happen overnight. So it took about 8 months to close that deal.
Okay.
Because of financials, working with the seller, getting certain financials that's needed. The bank, they gonna ask you for a bunch of documents. They want business plan. They want tax returns.
Everything.
They want to see your marketing plan. Did you do your market research? So that's the part that most people, because You're buying a business. So
Right.
we teach overall buying businesses. Self-storage is just one business model that we specialize in amongst others, but you need to understand your market research, your demographic, even from a content creator standpoint, right? Who's your target audience, right? Who
Yeah.
you speaking to? So it's the same thing when it comes to self-storage. And I learned that in that process, like if I'm going to buy this business, I need to have a hat on as a CEO, right? I'm just not buying, coming from real estate, I would just buy a duplex. I'll buy a fourplex. You just think I'm buying this,
just
I rent it out,
investing.
move on. I'm investing. But as a self-storage business owner, I'm buying a business. So I need to look at this deeply, understand my customer base. I need to understand my market research. I need to understand pricing. I need to understand so many things that you may overlook it, but if you're in business, you understand it. I need to understand competition.
Right.
And I didn't understand all that at that point, and I realized that I bought that facility. I could have got it much cheaper. I could have negotiated a little better. But I was new in the game.
first
you know
one.
what I mean? But that's also what come with it.
Yeah.
So I understand that, and it helped me out as I continue to build and buy more.
Yeah. Have you found it to be a difference based on like neighborhood or circumstance? And how does that work out when you try to like run comps and things on that from that aspect?
So similar, we in Vegas, right? Vegas pricing is different from Chicago, from New York, or Florida, right?
Right.
So when you rent out a storage unit, it may be a 10 by 10. In New York, that 10 by 10 would be $200, $300.
Yeah.
But that same 10 by 10 in Vegas could be $50, $70. So the unit pricing changes based upon where you are, but it's also based upon how many facilities are in that area. So it's called supply index, right? So what we do is we get a 5-mile radius, and we get all of the storage units in that 5-mile radius, and then we see how many people is in that area. Because one thing that investors, they go wrong, they go and build a facility or buy a facility in the area where there's no people. We need to follow the people. So is there an apartment building nearby, right? Are they building a grocery store, or there's a college, university? What's going on? We want to follow the trends of the people, and that's how we go about it.
I was just getting ready to say, I always see, like, especially in Vegas, I always see a storage facility right next to an apartment complex.
Yeah.
Like every time.
It's not a coincidence, though. That's
Yeah.
a strategy. So, and most of the time, the people that own the apartment buildings own the storage
On the
facility.
same, yeah.
So when you buy the apartment building, you're driving people. But these apartment buildings are smaller and smaller. Closet space is smaller. Ain't no storage. There's barely any garages, right? Well, all of those people that's moving into that apartment building, they're going to need a place to store their possessions. So now you have a storage facility nearby, and then you partner together. So even if it's two different owners, you still want to partner together. We could give a promo to anybody that moves into this apartment building. We give you 1 month free on this unit. You work together.
Yeah. No, that makes total sense. And I asked that question too because I'm wondering if security plays a part. So the type of neighborhood it's in, does that play a part in how?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I see.
All right, so I'm about to get into it. So,
Yeah.
there's some areas where you could go to a facility and it's wide open. You could just walk in,
Okay.
right? And it's a trust factor, it's a safety factor. But then there's some areas you might be in the hood, and now you gotta have gates. You have a keypad. You gotta have security cameras, right, 24/7, because you may have people that do break-in. It happens where people break in. I know in L.A., one of my mentors who's crushing it in L.A., there's a homeless problem, obviously, in L.A., and people go into these units and try to sleep in the units because they don't have no other place to stay. So having that level of security is important. And then when it comes to finances, right, so if you're buying a low-income area, if somebody can't afford to pay the rent over their head where they sleep, I'm not paying the rent on a storage unit. Because I barely can afford where I'm living at right now. So that's also something to pay attention to when you are buying a facility, to know, what demographics, what that population look like, what's those metrics.
Yeah, so there's a lot to go into it. There's a lot of research that needs to be done. Do you find yourself buying more in areas where you've never been, or more like to where you've actually seen it and know? How do you go about deciding what to invest in?
Yeah, so my strategy is to buy in sub-markets, right? So not in the inner cities, not in too much of a rural area, but more sub-markets. So maybe an hour out from the city, an hour and a half out from the city. So we just acquired some storage facilities like an hour out from Pittsburgh. So Pittsburgh is the city, but Franklin is the actual town where we purchased it, which is an hour out, because we get it cheaper. But a lot of people that's in the cities, they're moving out further because it's cheaper, right? So again, we want to follow where the people are going. What's the trend? That's where we want to be. And then also, we buy independent mom and pop facilities. So you think about Public Storage, Cube, Smart, Extra Space. Those are the big boys. We buy independent. A lot of the big boys, they are in the inner cities because they have the money.
Yeah.
You know, they
can
could
finance.
go in and
Capital's
cut the check.
there.
They cut the check.
All the capital's there.
Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense. And I was curious even about that too, because again, like you're doing it yourself, right? Like obviously, like, I know there's always a corporate to whatever it is people do individually. Just like, there's corporate house flipping and wholesaling companies that you're in competition with. But I also know that there's still space for those individuals. Do you think it's too late for people to get started now in storage space?
This is the best time to get started, right? Because there's a shift that's happening right now.
Okay, explain.
A lot of the baby boomers, those are the people that own these storage facilities for years, right? It'd be your grandparents, right? They own these businesses for 30, 40 years, but they're retiring now, right? They're getting older. They're ready to get out of the business. And what's happening is a lot of like Gen Z, millennials, and this just happened with one of the facilities that we purchased. He didn't want to sell his facility, right? He wanted to pass down to his kids, but his kids don't want nothing to do with it because they don't want to do no hard labor because they think it's hard labor. They want to go, do something cool online.
They're trying to be YouTubers.
Exactly. They want to be YouTubers, right? That's the difference.
Yeah.
So now for us, we strategize and say, okay, this is an entire group that's looking to do content, be online, be more digital, but there's also another group that's leaving, which is baby boomers that are selling off their businesses. How can we come and negotiate and get these businesses at a cheaper price? And now we acquire those businesses, and now we build all the cash flow and just add our new digital mindset. So I want to give some game on why we are who we are, right? So when we buy facilities, we create multiple streams of income off of one acquisition.
Okay.
So we call it becoming more effective in less time, right? How do we make the most out of one move? So when we buy a facility, not only do we make money by renting it out, because that's what they traditionally do. They just buy it, rent it out, but we make money by offering insurance.
Okay.
So now we sell insurance. We partner with the moving company. We partner with the U-Haul. So now we're able to offer 5 or 6 services and make 5 or 6 different streams of income off of that one business, and now we blow it up. So, most of the baby boomers, they haven't done that. They bought years ago because it was a simple business,
Right.
and they didn't have the digital mindset. They didn't have all these cool strategies, strategic partnerships. We come in, we do it, we capitalize, and that's how we do it.
So how many businesses do you own right now?
Oh, man.
We about to get into the pocket.
Let me actually think how many businesses I own right now.
Like, this dude has to think about it.
I really do, because I have a lot of business, but it's through partnerships.
Yeah, of
My
course.
main thing is self-storage.
Yeah.
But I probably have about 6 businesses right now.
Okay.
Between partnerships that I have.
Yeah.
Because I could be the face of 2 things that we completely run, which is the self-storage and then our education company. But then I have a staffing company as well. I have real estate business, clothing line, media production, different things that I do. But it's more of like a silent partnership.
Gotcha.
I let my partner do the operation.
Gotcha. Okay. Like I said, we're going to get into the pocket. So
Let's get into it. I think
this is important. No, I'm not asking because I'm like trying to combat what you're saying. I'm more interested in the people that are watching and hearing this, understanding what you can do from what you've experienced. Year 1.
Yeah.
How much money did you make?
Year 1, how much money did I lose? That's a better question.
Okay.
How much money did I lose? I lost a lot, but I ain't make no money in year 1.
Okay. At what point did that turn into profit?
Year 3. Year 3 is when I made money.
Okay.
And that's when I made $157,000. So it took me three years to close my first deal. That's when I made $157,000. And then the next year, year 4, I lost. So all of that money disappeared, right? Because I thought I was the man. I got $157,000. I'm up. I'm thinking that every business is going to work.
Right.
So I invested into a commercial cleaning company. I had a media production company. I had a credit repair company. But I didn't realize that I was doing too much, right? And I lost 6 figures on the commercial cleaning, lost 6 figures on the media production company. And then that's when I just dialed strictly into real estate and started going crazy. So I would say year 6 is when I really turned the corner.
Okay.
And really started making multiple 6 figures. And then over the last 2 years is when I'm making millions.
And I think, to your story of I started to do too much,
Yeah.
that's a lot of individual story. You get ambitious because you see it working, and so you try some different things. Those things don't work. Sometimes you take a really significant hit, right? But I think where your entrepreneur spirit really excels is that you never stop on the thing that working, right? And so it's like I always fall back on real estate. Like I always fall back on this one thing that I know I can get money in, and be sure to keep it, keep everything else afloat and everything else going. So again, hats off to you for continuing to strive and continue to keep going on that, because I know, like, I know year 4, 5, 6 was like, all right, it better be up now because otherwise I got to make a big shift.
I say this, entrepreneurship is you having the desire and the ability to lose money for a long period of time for something that you love so much.
Mm-hmm.
That's what entrepreneurship is. I'm willing to lose for something that I love until I win.
Mm-hmm.
We don't watch the scoreboard. I don't know how long it's going to take, but I know it's going to happen because I'm doing the work. And you can't fake or out. What's what I'm trying to say? You can't fake hard work, essentially.
Yeah.
Right. You just gotta once you work hard and you put the reps in, it's only a matter of time.
Yeah. I told my creator group that I coached yesterday. I told them that success is just habits on repeat.
Ooh.
I was like, you're just taking a habit. You've made something a habit and you've put it on repeat continuously, consistently, over and over again. And then you start to see, results of it, right? Like it's like you had to lose to know, all right, I just got to stop all of this and focus on this one thing to make sure it works. Yeah. Relating that to content, all right, because it's the same thing, all right? Like I get so many questions about, you hear everybody tell you niche down. You hear everybody, I don't know, should I do broader content? Because my niche content doesn't necessarily get the views I want, doesn't necessarily get the reach I want. And I go, okay, you have to at some point ask yourself, what do you want to be known for? Right? You told me I'm the self-storage king, mogul lifestyle.
Yeah.
Right? You told me that. You know exactly what you want to be known for. You know on your platform how you want to be displayed and represented and how people should know you. And so when I ask people that, I go, I need you to tell me in one sentence what you want to be known for. And I just watch them fumble through it. Because they've never actually thought what it is they want to represent and how they want to be represented on their platforms. All they know is I want a bunch of followers and a bunch of people engaging with me to hopefully get a bunch of leads to make a bunch of money in my business. And so I start from the top. I go, okay, if you are looking for someone to help you get views, you're in the wrong place. I'm not the guy for you. I'm like, because otherwise we could just go down to the strip and all the craziness that's going down there, all we got to do is take out your camera, you're going to get a bunch of views. It don't matter what it is.
Big fact.
Right? Spider-Man's going to come flip in front of you. You might smack him. There's a million views right there. Right? If that's what you want, then you got to go do that. I'm not the one. If you're trying to figure out how to do it in your business, maybe I can help you. So I go, tell me what you want to be known for. And they can't do it. So I go, let me tell you what I want to be known for. I want to be the content creator, educator that not only helps you grow and influence, but also your business. Right? If I can't do that for you, then I'm going to send you where I think you should go. How can you help me? How do you serve me, right? If you can't tell me, then there's no need for you to start creating content just yet. Figure out how you're going to serve, right? So for you, in your instance, you said, I'm going where the people are going.
Yes.
While that's also an opportunity for you in your business, you're also serving people in that manner. So dialing back to what point, what had to happen, like specific, was there a moment where you started to realize that, like, okay, when I focus now, I need to know exactly who my avatar is and who I'm aiming for?
Mentorship, bro. Mentorship. So I was doing a lot of activities on accident, right?
Okay.
Like I'm posting, I'm doing seminars, I'm doing a bunch of stuff, but not having no strategy behind it. I didn't even understand what I was doing until I paid for mentorship, and then my mentor was able to say, yo, you're doing good stuff. But now let's do it a little more strategic. Let's dial it back now and like, okay, let's look at the insights and let's double down on what was actually working, right? Let's know who's actually looking. What time are they actually up? So post when people are up, right? Like different things. I'm like, all right, cool. Now let me do what's actually working. And the one time that I realized, like, all right, I know what I need to do and I need to be consistent with this is once I started giving out content that other people wanted to hear. I had to learn the hard way. Well, I'm keep saying because this is what I want to share.
Right.
No, they don't want to hear that. You want to share and say what they want to hear, but obviously you want to make sure you still delivering your message. I call it mixing the Hennessy with the medicine. I'm from New York, so we drink Henny, right? But if you want to deliver the message, if I give you just strictly medicine, get it away from me. I gotta mix a little bit of Henny in there. Now, now you be good. So that's how I do with my content. So I do a lot of entertainment, give some game, but also motivation in between that. And if it's working, now we double down and we just keep doing it. The same thing when it comes to self-storage. I know exactly what the baby boomers are looking for. I know how to solve that problem. Let's keep doing it. I'm not switching up. If this is working, I'm gonna keep doing it.
Yeah, two things you said. Knowing like what they want to hear from you, right? That's number one, right? Like understanding what your audience wants to know, right? So it's like that, and everybody starts this way. Like they have in their mind what they want to put out.
Yeah.
All right, like this is what I'm going to talk about. I don't want to be like that guy. I want to be more of this, right? And then they start to do it, and there's no feedback because no one's reacting to it. Then they make a video, and they're trying to figure out how come this video did so well. And it's like, duh, that's what they want to see from you. That's what people do. It again. Let's just see what happens. Matter of fact, take that same video and just repost it in 2 weeks, and let's just see what happens. You don't even got to get creative.
All right, that's
just repost it again. Let's just see what it does. Oh, it did again. It did good again. Okay, they're telling you what it is that you want. One thing I always tell our audience is that you have to remove the title of algorithm from your mind, and you gotta kind of replace that with audience. I go, okay, you're not feeling this whole content creation journey because you're getting 300 views a video. What if 300 people were standing in front of you and you were delivering a message on stage?
That's a big crowd.
That's a nice room.
Yeah.
Right? Like what happens then? How would you feel about it then? Right? You wouldn't feel like that's, it's not worth your time at that point. What if you had the opportunity to sell your product to 300 people and get high conversions? Like what if that was the case, right? So while you're treating it like the algorithm's not favoring me, this content's just not working, you're not actually thinking of the individuals that are viewing it. Because I guarantee if you start caring about what their reactions that they're having and why they're liking it, why those 300 consistently are coming back to watch more, if you start thinking about why they're doing that, you'll start to understand what you should be doing a lot better and understand what to do next.
I want to say something, but I want to get your thought process on it because you're the expert when it comes to this, right? But I've noticed that so many people, they don't want to show that they starting from zero.
Yeah.
They want to be already out the gate, 100,000, 200. Nobody want to show the beginning of the journey anymore, and that's really a problem. So, how do we talk to that person as well that it's okay with starting out and building up and showing your process? Because that's what I did. I started out showing my process, and I felt like I actually have a more loyal and stronger audience because they see the journey of when I was doing duplexes, and now I'm buying apartments, and now self-storage, and then rebuilding family wealth. Wow, I watched his journey. So I can speak it from my perspective, but I want you to talk to, if you could share any insight on how does that person starting out overcome that fear of like, I don't want to start from zero and getting no views and going through that process.
No, that's really good. Because there's a couple things that I try to get into the psychology of an individual. Like I try to get into their mind and make them actually think about why they're feeling that and how to get over it. First thing I go, you're concerned with having a smaller following and people seeing it, where you don't feel like it's almost like imposter syndrome, right? Like you don't feel worthy of the post, right? And I dealt with it too because I was like, I was always behind the camera, and to me everything's post worthy. I'm like, let's capture it, let's put it out. And then when I started to do it myself, I'm like, I don't like how I said that, or I don't like how I looked here. But your concern really is psychologically, it's just on you. It's your own over critique of what you are doing. If you can get past that, right, and really start to think, wait a minute, why should people even listen to me? Like you got to ask yourself that. Why are you an authority in self-storage? Maybe it's because you've got 6 businesses, you've been doing it for 6 years, and you've made this amount of money. You've also probably helped this amount of people do the same thing. That makes you an authority. If you never tell anybody that, you're not an authority, right? If nobody on your platform knows you've actually done it, you're not an authority. So I go, all right, let's dial it back, okay? You want to be the next real estate investor guru, right? How many flips have you done? How many wholesale properties have you actually, how many actual transactions have you done? 2? Why should I listen to you versus listen to the individual that's done 500, right? So, okay, maybe that's you, and you're like, all right, I don't know, really, I don't want people to see it just yet. I want to get the transactions, and I want to do the deals first, and then I'll come out with the content. But why? Why wouldn't you show us getting your first deal, all right? Because I trust you watching you from the point of start to when you're up. I trust you more than to come along when you're up now, and I'm not totally sure that that's actually true. I can't tell you how many pages I can look at and go, none of this following. Like the good majority of this following is fake. They bought those. Those are bots. Those comments aren't even real. How many fire emojis can people give in one?
Yeah.
Right? Like I can see it, right? Your engagement is low, right? But you're paid to put views, and so your validity, like it just doesn't stand with somebody that can see through it, and eventually your customer will also see through it, right? So the power is in the journey. If I can scroll back and see when you first talked about your first deal, your first, your first duplex that you bought as a real estate agent. Oh, and then he transferred over to the storage. Oh, now if I can see all of that, then yeah, I'm in your DMs like, hey, bro, I'm trying to get started in this. What should I do?
Yes, sir.
That's the mentor that you went and got. That's the mastermind that you go to. It's why we can fill up rooms 4 times a year with 1,000+ people, because they know he's actually done what he's saying. It's the only reason people would listen to me, is because I can go, hey, here's a guy that I helped. He's got over 100K and making millions of dollars. Here's another guy that I helped doing the same thing, and I can give you 5, 6, 7 of those individuals that now are doing it, hosting their own events and doing some of the same things, right? Like I can give you that. So yeah, I can call myself an authority. I can stand on that and believe that. So like before you get into your mind of I'm gonna wait and start doing it later, just think about how powerful it would be to see the start, right? The other piece is I want your videos, let's just say your first videos. This is something that Sean Cannell, I think Media always says. Your first videos are your worst videos. All right. So right now, you're not a good communicator. You don't have good camera presence. You probably haven't even stood in what is your it factor, and I'll explain a little bit of that too, but you don't even know what your it factor is just yet. You're not good at telling your own story, right? Why would you wait till you got 100,000 people viewing every video to start doing that? Why wouldn't you do it when no one's looking? That's why I got comfortable with a podcast, because I was like, ain't nobody seeing this anyway. I'm going to get 30 views on this first episode. It's going to be all friends and family. I ain't worried about what they think, right? I'm going to get my reps in. And in the meantime, as I'm getting my reps in, I'm getting better at communicating. I'm getting better at hosting. I'm getting better at understanding when to speak and when to let the guests speak. I'm getting better at what I want it to look like. I'm getting all these different things. I go lose 30 pounds because your boy looking big on camera, right? Like I start to do all of those pieces because I'm like, all right, before people start to see it, I got to put the reps in and get the grind in out. So that's how people should be thinking, right? Kobe Bryant, LeBron James, Michael Jordan didn't get good by playing in the game. It's not when they got good at what they were doing. They got good when no one was looking. And so now's the time and the opportunity for you, an individual like that, to really get after it.
That's powerful, man. That's powerful. I'm glad anybody that's starting out with content, they need to understand that and value that. Because one thing I like that you said is about sharpening your tools in private, right? But it's really not in private because you put it out to the public, but nobody's really seeing it yet, like you said. But you getting better, and by the time you pop, you gonna be the best version of yourself.
You've already got it, and you've mastered your story. That was Erwin McManus is a pastor out in LA, and I had him on the podcast. And after the podcast, I always go, hey, how can I get better at this? Right? Especially from people like him who's been doing it for a long time. I'm like, how do I get better at communicating, especially communicating on video and on camera? And he gave me the best piece of advice, and he was like, 2 things. One, you got to master your story. So how you tell how you went from start to where you're at now, you got to master how you deliver that message. So you got to say it over and over again. Everybody needs to know it. Everybody needs to hear it multiple times. And in my mind, I'm like, okay, that makes sense. This is why every pastor keeps telling their same testimony, right? Because they're mastering how they're telling it, and they're watching the impact that it's having on the congregation. I was like, okay, that's really good. I'm gonna work on that. And the second thing he told me, he goes, you're going to get asked the same questions over and over again. So you're going to have the same answers over and over again. It's like master those answers. Because the better you can deliver the messaging of that, and the more concise you can dial in your responses, the better people will take to what you're saying. So now when I got to go do a stage of 1,000 people, I know exactly what, like I'm delivering it the exact same way I delivered it to my coaching call. Right? Because I know how it was delivered and how it came across there. I know it can come really good in the room too. So it's like those 2 pieces really gave me a lot of encouragement, because I was like, okay, this is what I need to focus on this season as I'm trying to get better at what I'm doing.
Oh, that's love it. I love it, bro.
What gave you your boldness and your belief in getting in front of that camera and on your social media?
But I've always been this way, honestly. Like I thank my dad and my mom because, I have friends, right? one of my closest friends, growing up, he always used to say, yo, man, I want to go to the NFL. Right?
Okay.
That was his thing, to go to the NFL, but his mom said, no, you need to go get a sanitation job, right? You're not good enough to go to the NFL. Go get safety, right?
Mom said that.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
But she was putting her fears and opinions on him.
Yeah.
And that stunted his growth, where now he's actually a sanitation worker, right?
Oh, wow.
And then he looked at me and see all the things that I wasn't able to do, but my mom, my dad always said, you can do whatever you want to do. You could be great. Listen, I tell my dad that I want to go jump off the building. You could do it. Just make sure you get a head start. Go back. Like anything I want to do. So I feel like that contributed to my confidence. And then my brothers as well. You know, they supported me, always tell me what I can do. So I think regardless on camera, off camera, I always had confidence. What I had to do was get comfortable with now sharing it on social media. My first time I went live, and it went from 1, 2, 3 people, I cut it off. Like no face, no cake, because I don't want people to see me. But then I realized that I have a gift, and I'm letting God down if I don't share my gift with the world. That's so good. Me going live is bigger than me. It's about me now changing other people's lives, and that's why we've been able to help thousands of people, our community, over 1,000 people, to go out there and actually build their credit, get access to funding, get into self-storage, buying businesses. If I didn't get on camera and be confident enough to share my story, that's somebody's life that I didn't save.
Yeah.
That's somebody's kid that would probably be in jail because they didn't see somebody that looked like them, that come from where they come from. See, I could be a entrepreneur versus being a drug dealer versus being an athlete or whatever they see that they think they need to be, right? So that's why I'm confident, bro, because I know it's bigger than me. Like when I'm on the camera, I'm sharing that this is not for me. This is for anybody that's watching. I hope I spark something in you so you can go do something for somebody else.
No, for sure. And I don't care what successful person you talk to, they're going to tell you, I just got focused on serving. All right, and that's what I mean by that. Like, you're serving your community.
Yes.
I don't care if it's 30 people that follow you. Right? Do something to serve those 30 people. Right? And so there's a lot of power in doing that. It also will always give you the confidence because you're not thinking of yourself first. Yeah. That is also the issue with individuals that struggle with getting started or are like, I'm going to wait till I'm actually like, no, you're still thinking about you. Right? And this isn't about you. You're actually doing everyone a disservice. You're doing the world a disservice by not putting it out there and allowing them to see what you have going on. It takes boldness and it takes trust in yourself, but like anyone can do it. Anyone can do it. Now, don't get me wrong. I don't believe that everybody needs every platform and to do everything there is. Like, but you have to find what it is that you're good at, right? Like, there's some people that don't need a podcast. That just is what it is, right? Like, I can't listen to you. Like, there's something off here, right? But maybe you can do short form content and it may make more sense, right? Like, I always bring up the guy that I forgot the actor's name that does the clear eyes commercial. I'm not sure. Like, he made a living off of having a monotone voice, right? Like, he doesn't have any inflection in his voice. It's one tone the whole time. He's been in that same commercial for 30 years, 40 years, right? Like, it's like you can find where you fit in whatever industry you're in. It's just you got to throw stuff at the wall, see if it sticks, and then pay attention to what sticks and go after that.
And I think the thing is, a lot of people don't want to go through that process of throwing stuff at the wall and seeing if it stick or not because we want it now. We want to know our gift now. We want to know exactly what we're here for now, but it's about that journey, right? So for you doing this podcast, right, you had to go through a journey. Like you said, you was getting married, and you see, yo, look, it costs X amount of money.
Yeah.
But that right there that you went through, and I'm pretty sure even getting married, right, like, that was a thing of growth and development, like coming from where we come from. I'm assuming, like, how do I now transform and say, I'm going to be with one woman and I'm going to dedicate my life? So you got to now go through that process, right? But that process led you to now noticing about videography and how you could actually do it yourself. You learned it. Now you got the podcast and all the other things you're doing, events and things like that. But most people don't want to go through that, and that's why they still where they at.
So I think if individuals would take a step back and really remove themselves out of certain situations to see what it is actually happening, they'll improve their lives tremendously. Let me ask you, though, because we're talking about content, and I know marketing plays a big part in what you do. How do you go about marketing, like strategically planning for your marketing with these different type of companies?
So I focus on a personal brand, right? I share about my sons, I share about my wife, I'm showing, like, my downfall, right? I make sure that I show people that I'm a real person, right? Because people buy into people that they know, like, and trust. Nobody want to see somebody that always got to figure it out. So being okay with letting people see when you struggle, right? So I let that happen. That's number one. But number two, I don't show every single business as well because I don't want people to think, oh, he's doing too much, right? Because somehow people only know what they know, right? And they don't know what they don't know. I was just talking about this with my guy, Jose, right? But they don't think that it's possible to run multiple businesses, but because they don't think that and they see you running multiple businesses, they think that it's not real. Right, so all right, so now I gotta understand that I'm only gonna show you self-storage. I'm not gonna talk about the staffing company. I'm not gonna talk about the clothing line. I'm not gonna talk about the media production company. I'm only gonna show you this one thing. And as you now join in and you go through that customer journey and you become part of the community, now I can expose you to other things. So from a marketing standpoint, all I'm doing is showing my real life from a family standpoint, and I'm talking about self-storage all day long. And I'm showing you that, and then in that process, I'm able to now show you different things.
Yeah. That's interesting too because I think. Like one of our editors came in earlier today as we were setting up the podcast, and he goes, "Hey, Justin, you started doing content for other people before yourself. Today, would you still recommend that to people?" And I was like, "Yeah, absolutely." He's like, "Why?" He's like, "You can build your own brand. Everybody talks about building their own brand." I go, "Okay, go build your brand, and then tell people what you've done. You haven't done anything, right? So, like, how are you gonna build a brand on teaching people and helping grow people's business through content? How you gonna build a brand on that and you haven't done it? Right? It doesn't make any sense. So like in your case, did you start building your personal brand first or did you start with the business first?
Personal. Everything's personal brand. But I look at both of them as the same. It's not one or the other. Like I am business, right? Jay said, I'm not a businessman. I'm a businessman. Like that's how I feel. I am a business. I am an enterprise. I am a corporation. So it's a personal brand, and everything that I do encompasses who I am as a person, right? So you know, I don't separate it. I really just make sure I go and do whatever I feel like I want to show. You know what I'm saying? And that's just the bottom line.
Here we have another entrepreneur, another businessman to tell you all to stop separating your pages.
Oh yeah.
We don't need a business page and a personal page, and you trying to make content for both. I tell people the only reason you would do that is if they're too far of a difference in niches. But if you are the face of the brand, then you need one. Just put everything there and keep it going.
That's how I feel too. Which one is the main camera? I gotta make sure.
Here's main.
Right
talk to yours.
Talk to this one right here. But like, this is the most pivotal time. This is the most accessible time that we have to making millions of dollars. Like it's crazy. Our parents and grandparents didn't have the opportunity we have. Back in the day, you had to pay $1,000 like the Super Bowl, like millions of dollars to get an ad on the Super Bowl, millions of dollars to get an ad on these TV channels and things like that. Now, for free, you can upload and promote your product or service to millions of people. That's never been available, right? So I personally believe that this time that we're in right now, content is king, and if you're not promoting yourself, if you're not building a brand, I don't care what you do. Like I'm in self-storage, and yes, I make money in self-storage, but I understand that the brand brings me more opportunities. I actually build relationships just from, I see what you're doing on YouTube. And so I got a platform. I met somebody today that have an entire CRM that they built out for self-storage to build land.
Oh, wow.
Because I have a platform and I'm on YouTube, and they see me and they reached out. Now it helps me in my real life business. So I just wanted to just let everybody know, content is where you need to be. You can make the most money and more importantly, have the most impact. You can share your story, share what you may be able to do step by step. And that's how we do. When we strategize how we're going to make our money every single year, every quarter, it's not about how much money. It's about how many people we can actually help, right? How many people can we impact? Because we have more impact, we have more income, right? How do we impact more people? How many platforms do we need to get on? What's going to be the message on these platforms, right? Let's break it down to a science. You know, we really need to know, all right, how many people are in this certain situation, and what is our message so that we can get across to all of these individuals.
Absolutely. All right, Rel, tell everybody or let me know what's next for you, bro. Like what do you see yourself kind of diving into next? I know you're gonna probably stay consistent with the self-storage as it's been working, but what new opportunities are you finding coming your way?
Right now, bro, I'm just in the season of family wealth. Like I'm in the season of building family wealth, and when I say family wealth, my brothers, they with me. We built $20 million in family wealth, and we did it over the last 3 years, right? That's good. But we want to show other people how they could bring along their family. Like you got your cousin, right? Y'all working together, right? Yeah. It just feels that much better when you're able to bring your family along. So my goal is to get to 100 million. How do I get to 100 million? I need to help 100+ families build at least $1 million in family net worth. That's what it's about. How do we build family net worth? We need to clean our credit. We need to start LLCs. We need to go get business funding. And let's go buy some cash flowing businesses. Let's collectively come together. So that's all I'm doing for the next, until something else come up. I don't know, but right now, it's all about building family wealth and doubling down on that.
Nah, dude, that's awesome, man. I can tell you, I affirm what you're doing. I'm excited for what you're doing.
Thank you, bro.
I'm gonna be excited to watch it happen, and we're gonna do some other things too, because I think there's opportunity for our paths to cross with our community, especially because I just think the miseducation and uneducation is where you can have real impact on some of our people. So we'll be talking some more, man. Tell everybody where they can find you, how they can support you, and all that good stuff.
Absolutely. You can find me on Instagram, Mogul Lifestyle _ YouTube. It's Mogul Elite Club. Facebook is Ramel Newerls. Just type in Mogul Lifestyle _ online. It's probably going to pop up somewhere where you could tap in. We got the #1 wealth building community on the entire planet. We're teaching you how to build wealth debt-free, how to buy self-storage, how to buy cash flowing businesses. So MogulEliteClub.com. You go there, you can tap in with our community and see all the things that we got going on. Let's get it.
Y'all make sure y'all tap in with him. We're going to put his links down in the description. You'll also find links to wealthycreator.com/Justin, where you can get any resources that you need for your podcast, for your digital podcast, and whatever equipment that you need to buy. Be sure to click that and tap in with me. Be sure to follow me at Justin Berry on Instagram. That's where you can reach me. I do respond to DMs. I promise you all. But yeah, stay in touch, and I'll catch you on the next one. Peace.